Peppa Pig and Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom are two shows loved by millions of children around the world. But did you know that there is a strong theory that these two incredible shows take place in the same universe?
Wow!
Peppa Pig is a show created by Neville Astley and Mark Baker, and together with Sam Morrison, they also created Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom. The Pink Pig show was created in the late 90s and aired in 2004, while Ben and Holly's animation was also first shown in 2004. Both were huge successes, proving that these guys really know how to create amazing cartoons. But in addition to bringing these two wonderful universes to life, they seem to have merged these two fantastic worlds. What I'm trying to say is that Peppa, Holly, and Ben probably live in the same world, and it seems that no one has ever realized this. And the similarities between the two shows start right in the first episode of the Noble animation. In the Royal Family Picnic, the royal family is gathered around the table, calmly discussing a picnic they're going to have. So far, so good. But look at the wall behind them. Did you see it? It's none other than a painting of a little house on a hill, and the style, the roof, and the color of that yellow house with a red roof, does it remind you of anything? Oh, of course! We all know that house looks like Peppa Pig's house. More precisely, it looks like the chatty pink piglet's very own house. It could very well be just a mere similarity, as the same people made both shows. But remember that this is the first episode of the series, the moment when the audience needs to pay attention to get to know that whole world and those characters. Everything that happens in the first episode is very highlighted. This is true for any show. That's why I'm sure that little house wasn't put there by accident. Today, we're going to convince you that Peppa Pig and Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom are set in the same universe. And let's not forget The Big Nights, which was made also by the same creators of the other two shows, showing that Peppa's multiverse is really much bigger than all the fans imagine. However, to make this theory rock solid, I'm going to bring more evidence to support what I'm saying. So hop on, because another Cinewave is starting. Talking about just the first two shows, as everyone knows, Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom and Peppa Pig are global hits, with 11 seasons combined. Ben and Holly have 2, and the Pink Pig has 9. And because of this enormous fame, many fans started paying attention to some details and suspecting that both stories take place in the same world. But this theory didn't just come out of nowhere. There are many things that prove this thought. Let's start at the beginning. In the opening of Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, the elf Ben and Princess Holly introduce themselves, alongside Gaston, a ladybug that barks. Yeah, things are really different in this kingdom. But what matters is that this way of starting the show, by introducing themselves, is very similar to Peppa's. In the Pink Pig show, she and her family do the same thing. Could the Pig family have taught the inhabitants of the magical world how to behave in front of the cameras? And while we're talking about Gaston, this ladybug is so popular that it appears on a label at the end of Peppa's episodes, in the credits. Cool, right? Everyone knows that in the world of cartoons, there are many ways to draw and animate characters, and in the case of Peppa and Ben and Holly, their animation style is simpler but still very cool, and both are very similar. They look like they were made for the same series. The delicacy of the drawings is identical in both animations. Look how the characters are similar. If you also really love both shows and are enjoying the video so far, comment #United down below in the comments. Again, this could be because 2 of the creators are the same people, but they could have changed those drawings if they wanted to, yet they chose to keep them the same. They kept the style, the way the characters talk, and even some voices are similar, and the colors are very much alike too. I wouldn't be surprised if one day Peppa ran down the hill where she lives and quickly passed through the fairy and elf kingdom without even noticing, as they are really tiny. In Peppa Pig's universe, there is a show that was created in TV land and is super popular among all the residents. This show is broadcast every day and is called Super Potato. As the name suggests, the protagonist is a super-powered potato. So, if this character appeared in Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, it would be proof that Peppa takes place in the same universe as Ben and Holly, right? Well, we have proof that this theory is indeed real. Because on the backpack of one of the students who appear in the show, we can see the character Super Potato. It's not just a similar character, it's literally the same one from Peppa's universe. With this, I can only say one thing. The fame of Super Potato is truly strong. It reaches from the animal worlds all the way to the miniature fairy and elf kingdoms. Continuing with the proof that all of these characters share the same world, let's move on to the episode where Holly and Ben accompany the Tooth Fairy at work, collecting teeth that some children lose and leave under their pillows. Can you imagine how crazy the fairy's job must be? She flies all over the world working, and her only payment is teeth. After flying all night, the gang arrives at the house of a girl named Lucy to collect her tooth. But in this room, there's something very, very unbelievable. In her room, behind the toy chest, near the plush elephant, guess who's there? It's Peppa's plush toy. Man, look at that obvious crossover. There's no way to say this was a coincidence. Who's Marvel compared to Peppa Pig's multiverse? But it doesn't stop there. If Lucy admires Peppa so much that she has a plush of her near her bed, Peppa also admires Holly and wants her nearby. In Peppa and George's room, there are various toys and some drawings stuck on the wall. Near Peppa's bed, closer to the top bunk where she sleeps, there are two. One of them is an elephant and the other is a fairy who looks a lot like Holly. And speaking of fairies, when the kids decide to dress up, each one chooses what they like most to wear. The costumes range from witches and dinosaurs to carrots. And do you know what Peppa's favorite costume is? That's right, she dresses as a fairy, just like Holly, who is actually a fairy and probably inhabits the same world as the piglet. Now we have some great news for you, a true fan of the world's most famous pink pig from animated cartoons. We're introducing a channel where you can find absolutely everything about Peppa, the pig family, and all their friends and relatives. Don't waste any time, subscribe now using the link in the description, or point your camera at the QR code on the screen and start playing. I'll be waiting for you there. And when Peppa goes to the bookstore and has the chance to choose whatever she wants, of course the protagonist picks a book with a fairy on the cover. Moreover, look at the wall of that library. There's a fairy drawing decorating the place too. Yeah, I guess it's not just Peppa who's a fan of these fantastic beings. Peppa loves fairies so much that she makes sure to stay in touch with them in many moments. But these aren't the only times the show explores the connections between the animations. Even a trip to the hospital can be a way for the animators to give us hints. Doubt it? Then stick with me to understand. In the episode where Peppa hurts her knee, a bandage is applied to the piglet's knee. Then the teacher tells her and the rest of the class that one of their classmates, Pedro, is hospitalized. With that, everyone goes to visit him in the hospital. Once they arrive, we get another hint of the Peppa Pig multiverse. And it all happens as soon as the class enters the hospital room. Look at the painting on that wall. It's literally the fairy and elf world. Man, can it be any more obvious? In the episode Polly Parrot, Peppa and George meet Polly, Grandpa and Grandma's parrot, and they hear the bird repeating everything they say. The kids are amazed by the bird. They find it hilarious that it repeats everything, but there's a secret in this too. A parrot very similar to Polly appears in the little magical world of Ben and Holly as well. Could it be the same parrot? It's funny to see the difference in the bird's size in the two shows. In Peppa, it's a normal size, like the ones we see every day. But in Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, the parrot is huge! I'd run away if I saw a bird that big on the street. And on the trip to America, when they're walking around the city, Peppa and her family pass by a cinema, and one of the films being shown there is a movie about elves and fairies that seems, well, you already know. But what about humans? Where do they fit into this whole story? Well, there's an answer for that in this theory too. A long time ago, there was an animal revolution in Peppa's world. They got tired of obeying humans and decided to live on their own. The pigs were the smartest animals, so they led the whole operation, and the humans were expelled, going to live somewhere else. In this other place, humans had to start over and live like medieval people, but they still had modern things like TVs, electricity poles, and even a power station. And we know this because the Big Nights shows it all. The only humans allowed to keep living in Peppa's world were the Queen, Santa Claus, and a pirate. And they'd better behave, or they could be expelled too. I'm sure everyone knows that Peppa, Ben, and Holly live in the same universe and might even be friends, right? We've selected two very cool videos that are perfect for you, so you can keep watching fun content with us. Just choose the one you like the most and click on it. Thanks, and enjoy the video!